there's got to be a point in all of our lives when something happens and we become a seeker.
All right. Well, welcome back to Seekers of the Eternal with our incredible artist, Chris Parks, and me, Jason DeRocha. Chris, how are you this morning?
Hey Jay, I'm doing really great. Hello everybody. Good to be here sharing again this week your weekly dose of non-toxic positivity.
That's right. That's right. Such a great way to start the day for me. What's it like out there in Florida right now?
Super hot as far as the weather, but yeah, here in my city, just I have a weekly Seekers of the Eternal guided meditation group that I host each week at a really great space for yoga and kirtan and all that they offer there. And every Wednesday night I do a live guided meditation. We had almost 30 people there last
Wow.
night, and
Wow.
yeah, really good. It makes me feel really motivated, inspired about the interest that people have in these kind of things. It
Totally.
used to be a place that was just full of bars and those sort of things, which my old self would probably be pretty bummed about the changes, but then my new self is like, wow, this is so great,
So
seeing these changes.
paint that setting, Chris. So what would you see if we all flew down there for a meditation set? What would it look like? What would it feel like?
Yeah, and I'll post a picture of the space here too. Like, yeah, it's a space that they in the front they offer like kava and kratom and teas and herbal supplements and just things like that. Really, really great sort of healthy uh, beverage kind of area. And then there's a really nice courtyard where people can hang out, and just you can go there any time of the day. It's become this sort of
Cool.
like headquarters for uh, sort of, I don't know, we call it like, I don't know, like the guy Tanner who owns the place. I feel like he's like Xavier, and it's just a bunch of his sort of X-Men showing up that he's
So cool.
helping to train.
And are there people there all day? Just on the
Yeah,
property?
I think, yeah, I believe they're, yeah, he opens up in the morning. I think they do like some kirtan music and things like, so if people want to come before work, I think they open up at like 6 a.m.
Cool.
where you can
Yeah.
come in and get some tea and start your morning with like either breath work or kirtan music. And then, yeah, we're usually there till we leave the space there around 11:30, something like that. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a nice place just to go and gather, really, so non-corporate. But it's also just full of beautiful murals that people have painted. It's got nice lighting and sound inside the space. We
Very
can,
cool.
we're getting about at the max. You can get about probably maybe 35, maybe 40 if we squeeze everybody in there.
And is any of your
And
artwork up there?
I haven't painted anything in there yet. I actually
Okay.
met Tanner after, yeah, they had begun, but the murals in there are great. It's like a big Quetzalcoatl mural with Shipibo patterns from the Amazon
Cool.
behind me. And so, yeah, it's a really,
Yeah, if you could take some pictures and share it, I think everybody would love to see that.
yeah, great place. Because when I used to have the meditations in my studio space when we started, and then I
Mm,
moved out of that space over after before the lockdowns, and then I was here in my house where I could only fit a max of 7 people in here if we crammed everybody in
right.
together. And then so we were praying and visualizing and asking for a space, and that one thing led to another, and we ended up being able to have a place where we could meditate at every Wednesday, and it's a
Very
free
cool.
free event.
Very cool. Well, that's one of the things that we want to actually bring to our community, the Seekers of the Eternal community. Obviously, we're about to launch our Genesis Pass for Seekers of the Eternal. I think we are 5 days away now, September 6th, for everyone who has an allow list. And on September 8th, if there are any Genesis Pass still available, it would be open to the public. But and that is the Genesis Pass is essentially the keys to unlock the Hanuman collection. And I believe the Hanuman Warrior will be coming out um, several weeks later. And if you have a Genesis pass, you get the allow list for the Hanuman Warrior. But one of the incredible benefits and utilities I think we were trying to associate with this incredible digital art is IRL events. We're building this phenomenal community through Twitter and through Instagram and now in Discord. We're just shy of 5,000 members, which is absolutely incredible because I remember the day when we had our first member join, and we're looking at it, wow, we have someone, we have someone that sees that's something that we see. And to be, just shy of 5,000 is incredible. But, some of the IRL experiences is, it'd be, how wonderful would it be to have a Seekers of the Eternal gathering in St. Petersburg, Florida, or Arizona, or our home here in Toronto, and just have a whole bunch of folks who are trying to reach their highest potential and have a meaningful experience with other people who are also trying to have a meaningful experience. It's pretty incredible. So it'd be cool to work towards that. Come out to visit Florida because we all want that nice warm weather, and it might become something that we can all strive to achieve maybe after the first Mint.
Yeah, I think it's going to be so fun to see all the things that we come up with to get together. And that's what's so exciting about this new technology and this new space. I'm so happy that I didn't run away scared from it, as because new technology, when it comes, it's always frightening.
Yeah.
And I have to really just like, all right, take a minute, take a breath. Technology, it's inevitable. It's always changing. It's always coming. It always seems scary. I remember the first time I opened Instagram, and it was just like, I thought it was like a cool like camera that you could take photos and put filters on. And I was like, oh, you have to share them? Like, fuck. Like,
That's true.
Like, oh, what? I mean, this was like right when it came out. We weren't used to just immediately taking photos and sharing our whole lives. I was just like, whoa, no way. This isn't for me. Or the first time I saw, what was one of them called? Periscope. It was like one of the early,
I remember that.
Live streaming, and you just go on there. And I was just like, I threw my phone across the room when I saw that. I was like, cool.
It's like opening a curtain to your house, really, right? And allowing people to peer in, and you realize, like, you can decide what you want people to see when they peer in your window, but people are peering in your window. And you have to be really comfortable with that idea. And I think you're right. It was initially, when it came out, it was a strange concept because I think it's one thing to have your parents and your friends and your relatives maybe look through, they know who you are, but putting it out there in the world into a space where you don't even know who has access to it. And once it's there forever. It's impossible to take down, and almost impossible, I guess. And so, it's jarring, but you made a good point. Like, it's like anything in life. You can use something to do some terrible things and hurt people and hurt yourself, or you could use that exact same thing to do some wonderful things and help yourself and help others. And that's kind of where I see this space coming. Like, I've been in the NFT space since beginning of 2020, and I remember thinking, who in the world is going to pay for a digital picture? Like, it's a JPEG. And I think everybody's gone through that now, right? Everyone that hears NFT, some people are still there. And rightly so. They got valid reasons for looking at it through that, that lens. But the one thing that I've found over the course of our project specifically, first, I just kind of saw them all as JPEGs, and then maybe the group of the community come together. Then it could be like a membership. So it's not so much about the JPEG, it's about the membership and the community that you're attached to. If you're a Bored Ape Yacht Club holder or an OCM holder, you're everything that comes with that community you're a part of. Until our project, where I saw the painstaking effort and love and focus and attention to detail that you put into every single one of these pieces. This is genuine art. It's digital. Everyone's going to get this as an NFT, but it is genuine art. Every stroke, every line, every piece of, or every element, every color, it's all by design. The computer didn't come along and say, okay, well, let's put the stroke here for you, or let's put, you had complete control over that. And so if you stripped away the membership, the community, and all of those things that I was really, gave the highest value to, and I was just left with the art that you created, Chris, I would be so happy just to know what you put into that. So I want to make sure that
Mm,
people understand what went into each one of these NFTs that they get. There's going to be 5,000 Genesis passes and 5,000 pieces of artwork when it comes to the Hanuman collection for each one of those collections. But I want them to understand that, and the added value is all the other things that I put value on, like the community and the utility and the benefits and all of those other things that I thought would really define a project. That all of that's coming with it as well.
yeah, thank you, Jay. It makes me so happy when I send the images to you guys and the reactions from them.
Yeah.
And I feel like what I'm able to do now is to take all of these 20 years of drawing on my tablet and lurking more, mastering my craft of illustration and all of the ways of attuning to the creative muses to bring something through, because it's not something, I don't want to bring things that are just coming through my brain or regurgitating things that I've seen, but bringing something new into the world, but pulling from ancient sacred source that is so inspiring to me. And I've always wanted a project where I could be like wholeheartedly in on and give myself fully to, that has potential also to support me to continue doing that. Like so often, yeah, my career, the way it would work is I would really work hard on these images for different brands and agencies and stay up all night and just work super hard to finish those, get a check in. All right, I got a little bit of money, and then I would blow it all on a passion project, like something that I wanted to do, a gallery show that I wanted to do, an experience that I wanted to create, do all of the marketing and the everything that goes along with that, put all of my effort into it, and be fulfilled in a way of just doing something that I really love to do, that was just pulling inspiration and being able to do that. And all of those things throughout the years, they always were amazingly fun, and I learned a lot from them. But they would always end up, it would just, all right, I got to go back to my day job here,
Right.
and earn some money again, and then go back to that. Where this now is fusing these two worlds. So with NFTs, a way that I'm looking at it is a way for artists to take these passion projects, something that you really want to do fully, wholeheartedly, and make it, and also with like what you were saying, I don't want to make is, me getting into NFT just doesn't mean that my artwork quality is going to go down, or my creative ideas are going to turn into some just product that isn't very interesting. I mean, in my eyes, if think about like in a gallery of putting 5,000 one-of-one images of Hanuman on a wall, like that is an amazing piece of art.
Yeah.
We're using the tools that are available, which generative software that's come out that allows us to, allows me to create like all of these different traits and then combine those. Okay, we're going to use the tools to make it crazier and better.
Yeah.
But not using the tools to dumb it down and make it worse.
Right. Yeah. Which is a risk. And we've seen it with other projects and other pieces of art. And it just feels so reassuring to be a part of a project like that, where, there's I think I talked about this on another podcast, but if I was to pull up with my NFT portfolio and show them to my mother or my wife, there's things in there that I would be very embarrassed to show them, because I couldn't make sense of it. And you can tell that there wasn't an artist behind it. It was something that was made, with not, no attention to detail. It was made for ulterior reasons other than the art. And this, as you said, out of the gates, like it's this incredible artwork, but there's an incredible story attached to it, right? Like Hanuman is, as you said, it might be the most told and retold story in the history, in human history. It's been told for hundreds and hundreds or thousands and thousands of years, and there's a story in there that's very human, that every human being can relate to on the planet. It doesn't matter your race, creed, or religion. Like you can hear it and you will find a way to say that represents who you are or an experience you've had in your life.
It's just like the ancient epics. It's like we're storytellers as
Yeah.
humans. Like what are we almost interested in? It's like
Yeah.
stories and movies and superheroes and people with superpowers and heroes that know what to do in situations and can overcome their fears and persevere and to help others. Like we love heroic stories, and this is just, it's part of our human makeup, and it's how we
Yeah.
learn. And the depths of it, and that's too with like with this, it's so fun that monkeys are a big popular
Huge.
thing in the crypto and NFT world right now. So being able to bring in Hanuman into this world, I think he fits right in.
Yeah.
And then to be able to just go super super as deep as anything could possibly go. So with
Yeah.
each of the images, that every trait that you're going to get with the image is going to come with a ledger that you can look up what is the quality. Everything is a symbol, like just in like this image of Ganesha, like the axe is a symbol, the lotus and the noose is a symbol,
Mm.
everything, the snake is a symbol, and they all have convey meaning to the viewer. So if you know what those symbols are when you look at that image, Hanuman he represents all the best qualities of a human being: the ability
Yeah.
to control himself, control his senses, to keep his mind calm, and to be able to dive into wisdom and make the best choices. So
Yeah.
everything on there, and when you get it's so cool because it'll randomly generate all of the traits for you, give you one of the, you get one that
Yeah.
is specifically meant to land in your lap at that moment in that time in your life.
Kind of like a fortune cookie a little bit, right? Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you even though they're randomly generated, you open one. I mean, I can't tell you how many times. Like, I'm not big on superstition, so I've never been to like into a space in my life where I've gone to like a fortune teller or like what's
So
the
there's
study
like
of like
tarot.
horoscopes? Yes, tarot
Yeah,
readings and
tarot.
like
And
horoscopes.
astrology.
That astrology, that's right. But I would be lying to say that there wasn't times where I've read my horoscope for the week or for the month, and it just described exactly where I was. And I know that happens for millions of people, but there's moments where you're just like, "Ooh, I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that, that I'm gonna be going through a challenge, but I'll find a way to overcome it." Like, as general as it can be, humans apply meaning to certain types of experiences. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's why the fortune cookie is so popular. But in this situation, to have a piece of art that literally speaks to you, it's beautiful, but then you draw from it. If you know that there's specific symbols that's going to be within your artwork that represents maybe part of you, who you are, or who you aspire to be. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty powerful. And to find that piece of art that you can hold on to and refer to and reference is pretty powerful.
Yeah, it's like what Robert Ryan was saying in the previous episode. I was asking him about, how do you describe or define deity? How would you explain that to someone who doesn't understand what it is? And he
Mm,
says that they're reflections. They should be reflections of ourselves. That
right.
we see ourselves when we look at them, and that's really, really what they are. The deities are just pictorial symbols of the nature of reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the nature of reality is that we are one with the entire universe. And when we're looking at a flower, we're looking at ourselves. We just have gotten so conditioned to think that we're this body, we're this mind, this personality. But Yogananda talks about it, and my teachers talk about it. It's like this body is always changing. This
Yeah.
body that you're in right now, all of the cells have changed
So
since you were,
true.
you're not the same body that you were born into, and you're
That's
not the
right.
same personality that you
Yeah.
had.
I
You're
think like
not,
on
you
a
don't.
molecular level, even like I know like I think it's like every day or 2 days or something like that, like every cell dies and then regenerates and then there's a new cell. So like who you are physically, like literally who you were 2 days ago is not the same person you are today.
Yeah, there's no argument for it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
we're this. Yeah, you know, like that movie RoboCop. I love android movies. You know, any sort of like um, psychological dive into what makes a human a human. You know,
Yes.
that scene in RoboCop, the newest one too is really great too. It's like RoboCop, he gets blown up at the beginning, and
Spoiler alert.
yeah, spoiler alert, RoboCop gets blown up at the beginning of the movie. And that scene in the new one where his consciousness has been stored, is like his brain, I guess, is still there, and he still has his head, but everything else has become robotic.
Right.
And that moment where, you know, he comes back online and there's like a mirror in front of him, and they show, like, they take away all of the parts, his arms, his legs, and everything, and it's just his head there floating. And it's like, it makes you question, like, what am I? And
Yeah.
was I this body? Like, am I this brain? What am I? You
Right.
know? So
Right.
we are, and when we go to sleep and dream, we're not inside these bodies. We're not even on this planet, where we are completely just consciousness and having an experience. So
Yeah.
that's all that we're doing. And these deities can really they just reflect back to us all of the qualities of nature,
Yeah.
of what really is. And so
I
yeah.
love that, man. I think as I've gotten older, you realize whether you're a spiritual person or not, there's like this interconnectedness that you can't ignore. You know, you meet more people, and you just Maya Angelou has a great bar. She's like, you know, what in all the years she was on this earth, the one thing she knew for certain is that we were more alike than unalike. And that was something that was reinforced for her as she got older and older and older. We are more alike than unalike. And it's exactly that. We're all trying to find our way back to each other. And whether you look at this over history, like how human beings have evolved, you know, we are very, very separate. We're always trying to find a way where we can see each other as equal, whether it's race or, you know, religion or gender. Like everyone's trying to find a way to be, you know, to be equal, and not to separate, not to there's beautiful differences as well, which, you know, everyone's a unique individual, but, you know, there's something underlying that connects all of us. And speaking of, like, in a perfect example of this in real time, through this project is, you know, we've built out this phenomenal Discord. And for those of you who don't know, Discord is another vehicle for people to come together using this incredible technology. So think of, like, you know, like WhatsApp, where you can have a conversation with some folks who put their phone number in, you put your phone number in, and all of a sudden you can connect and you can create bigger and bigger groups. You know, Twitter and Instagram, everyone's got these groups. Well, Discord allows you to put together communities using their software. And, you know, you have to verify, you have to put your you know, an email in or a phone number in to make sure you are a real person, so they, you know, people can't come in and scam other people. So you do come in there, and then you're part of a community, and the community centers around something special. So, for example, for our project, it's Seekers of the Eternal, and the artwork that we're about to share with the world, but also some of the values of us trying to reach our highest potential, and elevate our way of being and thinking, and how we interact in this world. And so you have these personalities coming together around the same cause. Now, in every community, the people will be there for alternative reasons and have their different motives than you. But what you'll find for the most part is you're finding that the audience is much more sophisticated, much more mature than the average Discord group. You know, we have channels in the Discord. We have like daily and weekly challenges, which is, you know, to practice things like love and gratitude and forgiveness and personal responsibility and responsibility within your community, or to be a friend to a neighbor. You know, we challenge ourselves to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations, you know, outside of our comfort zone, because we know it's the right thing to do. It may not be the easiest thing to do, but it's the right thing to do. And what you end up having is people coming through, being inspired by these challenges, and then sharing their experiences collectively. And when people struggle, they here's a word of wisdom. You know, we actually have a channel called the Wisdom Well as well, where we take quotes and messages and lessons that we've learned in life and we share them with one another. And it's so uplifting. And so here's the point I was getting to was last night we had our first call with our moderators. Moderators are people who help us to engage and communicate with our audience in Discord. You can imagine 4,000 people. You need some people to help manage the communication. And when we go to sleep, there's a team of moderators that are awake and halfway across the world, and we have a few from New Zealand, and the Philippines, and other places where they're awake while we're sleeping, and vice versa. And they just kind of help to keep the conversation going and alive and answer questions that people may have. So last night we had our first meeting with our moderators, you know, live in person, screen on, and we have moderators from Canada, the United States, the Philippines, New Zealand. We all came together, and the people that came through this Discord and this project to become moderators, they self-initiated, like they participated in the chats. They love the project. They were helping other people out within the community, just like, hey, if you guys want to know more about this, go to this link. They weren't paid by us. They didn't, you know, we didn't hire them. They almost were elected by the community. And so it was like a no-brainer for us to say, hey, would you like to be a moderator? Everybody came in last night. It felt like family. It felt like I knew them before. And it was, there was no ego in there. And it doesn't mean we all agreed on everything. Everyone shared perspectives. But it was like, you know, Gandhi says honest differences are a healthy sign of growth. And that's where I just felt like, wow, this is going to be really special, because we're putting together this team of folks that genuinely want to be a part of this. And, you know, it was just a level of interconnectedness that I did not expect to come through Discord like this.
Well, yeah, I love hearing that. Yeah, and shout out to everybody that has joined us, that's seen the value in what we're doing and has found their way to us and is helping out with it. It's a wonderful thing. And when we know the sort of snake pit, or the ways, you know, all of these different tools and technologies all of course have their flaws and all of that.
Sure.
And we know, but it's any tool can be used creatively and consciously in a way that can be really beneficial. So we're playing in these worlds with these new technologies. We're keeping our minds open, because it takes, I think, people with courage and with vision and with pure intentions to use these tools and show the world how they can properly be used. So if we don't do it, who's going to do it? You know, so that's the reason why also that I'm really happy and thrilled to be on this journey, is because gives us a chance to do that. You can talk negatively about all of the things out there and talk negatively about projects that you've seen, but if you're not making one that's better, then who's going to do it?
Correct.
So that's what we're doing here. We're trying to do it in a new way, and we're bringing it. It's almost like harmonizing the energy in the space too. In a shamanic circle, you get people that come in with all of their different types of energy. People maybe are coming in with addiction problems, or really just at the end of their rope, you know, coming into circle. And then you've got other people who are coming to connect completely with spirit, and everybody's at different levels and looking for different things, but we're all here to learn and to grow and to connect with each other and with our higher selves. So it feels like that's the spirit even within Discord, and the moderators and our group. We're like those, you know, it's like controlling that shamanic energy of just with our own energy. We're not going to respond harshly to somebody. We're not going to, it's in the same, like in the Ramayana, Hanuman is always faced with like new obstacles and ways that he could go about it, but in his mind he quickly goes through like the wisdom that he knows in his life, the teachers that have taught him things, the scriptures that he's read, and makes the calculations and responds in the most optimal
Right.
way.
Right.
And we can always do that, you
Yeah.
know. So that's
It,
how we skirt the snakes.
That's right. And it feels amazing to be a part of that process. There's so many times in my life where I'll watch like politics and I'll be like, someone's got to do something about this. Like, you feel so helpless that you can't get involved. Or if you feel like you do get involved, it never really changes the system. There's an opportunity here with this technology to really change the system. This is a chance for us to build the kind of community that we want and to build a foundation on strong values of ethics and morality, whatever, of course, like I said, honest differences, we're always going to have that. But I think, we know what we're all trying to achieve. We're genuinely here to help one another. And obviously, and in doing so, you kind of help yourself. But I love knowing that I actually have a chance to make a small difference in the space and time that I occupy, and anyone else that's willing to do that as well. I feel comfortable encouraging them to join us. I think I would, I don't even like, I have my money in a bank and my mom's like, "Hey, how's that bank?" I'm like, I'm not giving a recommended. Like, I just don't know.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not doing anything nefarious that I'm aware of. They seem to be following all the laws or they wouldn't be in existence. However, I still don't recommend it. But in this situation, if someone is looking to be a part of a phenomenal community where people genuinely care about each other, the artwork and the NFT, the digital assets you're going to get actually has meaning and value attached to it. And you have a group of people who are involved in this project for the long term and want to build something really special that people can feel a part of for as long as they want to feel a part of. That's what we have here. No one's being
Mm-hmm.
forced to enter, no one's being forced to leave. It's just, if you genuinely want to be a part of something special, and I would welcome, everyone.
Mm-hmm. And we're just getting started. It's like
Yeah.
right now I'm just completely focused on drawing these images. So I'm not as involved as I will be as we get this whole ball rolling.
Yeah.
So right now I'm just kind of like locked in my studio drawing all of these traits. It's the biggest art project that I've ever worked on, and it's taking more focus and determination to pull it off and to
Yeah.
pull it off in a way that is proper for the subject matter and for the people who be receiving it. So as this, we're in the creativity, the wisdom for what's next keeps showing up for us, like right in the nick of time. So
Yeah.
we're following this thing. It's like what wants to happen. We're going to be instruments for that. And so yeah, that's really how we're seeing it. And also too, it makes me think about like my guru Paramhansa Yogananda. He says that when you're looking to make, he's talking about it obviously in meditation and connection with your highest self. But he says that environment is more powerful than will.
Mm.
So the environment that you put yourself in can be so much more powerful than you alone with your willpower.
Mm.
So when you tune into like these daily challenges, I mean, the fact that people are on there and like, doing that. I mean, imagine it's like before it was like, oh, okay, you're on Discord and you're just talking shit or whatever you're
Yeah.
doing,
Yeah.
and now you come onto this one and all of a sudden you just did something really beneficial for your own self and
Yes.
maybe for somebody else, and you're cultivating positivity and like new realms that you weren't exploring.
Yeah.
So, and you're
It,
around a bunch of people encouraging you to do that.
Oh man, it's epic. I mean, just to speak to your point, there's one of the daily challenges, the last one, challenge 32, which it was essentially, it was called clean it up. And it was pick an area in your life that you've been neglecting and clean it up, like physically clean it up. It could be a drawer in your night table, but it could be a room in your house. It could be your office. It could be in your garage. Just pick it. And we said, listen, if you take a before picture and an after picture of that physical space, whatever it was, a drawer or a room, and send it to us, we will reward you with an allow list, and it's interesting because a lot of people, that sent it in, like you can tell they needed this challenge, and the fact that we were able to inspire and motivate people to do that and see some of these pictures that people have sent us, pictures of people in from with very beautiful environments that they live in, and some where you can tell they don't have a whole lot, but we all allow some form of chaos in our lives from time to time, and we all have a responsibility to clean it up. And it was really cool that people had the courage to do it and then to share it with us and get rewarded for it at the same time, which I
Hmm.
thought was a win-win for everybody. So, I think about people though, Chris, that love your artwork, but are so nervous about crypto and are so nervous about NFTs. And if they do have that courage and curiosity that you just said, I hope, and I just said it, we hope everybody has, but where do they get started? Everybody goes through that exact same feeling. I did. And the benefit of being a part of a community where other people have already made some mistakes is you have the benefit of learning from those mistakes. And we have a responsibility to make sure that we educate our audience in a way that they don't make the same mistakes and that they feel informed during the entire process, which means, what first, just understanding what is crypto and what is an NFT. How do you get into it? So how do you buy cryptocurrency, and where do you store cryptocurrency? And then how do you use your cryptocurrency, to interact, whether it's to buy an NFT or to invest or what have you. We have a whole team of people, and now we have a full community of people that have all gone down that road. So we're going to put together the videos for your audience and our audience who are curious but don't know the first thing. We're going to actually have a video that just walks you through it completely. And then the other part that's really great about technology is they can send you or myself a DM through Instagram or on Twitter, or even if they come into our Discord, send us a DM and say, "Look, I saw the videos. I'm still confused. I still don't understand, but I want to be a part of this community." We are
Hmm.
more than happy to walk people through it. We will hold your hand and get you to the right place so that you can feel comfortable, with every aspect of this journey.
Yeah, and it's total music to my ears. Just to think about, like we're here in this space now where we've combined together, and we have this ability, and to think about my friends that I can turn over to you guys to help out with
Yeah.
crypto and NFT questions, and to wade people into these new territories. And it's so early now. It's such a good thing to get in on things when it's early,
Yeah.
and to get in on things when not everybody's doing it. Right now, a lot of people are think that this NFT thing is just a trend and it's going to go away or whatever. That's the time to start getting interested in these
Yeah.
things, because when everybody's doing it, then everybody's
Yeah.
already
That's
done
right.
it.
It's too late. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, and you can still participate and get involved in, it's always changing and stuff later on, but if you're curious now and you want to get involved in it, our first mint is free.
Yeah.
So you get two Genesis passes. That And then the when we release the Hanamans, we haven't released the price yet, but it's not going to be unaffordable. Like,
No.
you're going to be able to um, figure out a way to do whatever you got to do to get one of these.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not going to take much. And then and then you get to this whole, like, I mean, back when I was dipping my toe into cryptocurrency, just to like buy uh, a training course on how to use crypto, it was like $1,000 if you
Mm,
wanted to hear somebody give you videos and teach you how to do
yeah,
things
yeah.
and do all that kind of stuff. You had to, in this, the entry into it, so we can wade you into it, and we can, that you're working with people with pure intentions. Everybody's trying to help each other.
Yeah.
And then you can quickly understand what you're doing, and be able to participate in it, and then be ready for the future, so you don't have to be
That's
afraid
right.
of this. Yeah.
And I think we're going to a space now where people, I mean, so you said like you're going to always be in a space where you can always, um, if you really like the Hanuman or you like other NFTs that have a dollar cost value or a crypto cost value, it's like buying art. If you went into a store, you would still expect to pay for it. You're going to purchase something that has value. It's the exact same thing for for this NFTs and for the NFTs and the digital art that you're going to get through the Hanuman project. But the beautiful part is they're now building channels so people can actually, you don't even need to buy cryptocurrency. You can use your credit card and you can buy NFTs as well, because the platforms are starting to evolve, and they realize that, my mom and my mom and dad, if I said to them, you got to go open a digital wallet and get a crypto exchange and transfer money from your bank to there, and I'm going to lose them as soon as I say open a digital. You have to create a digital wallet.
Mhm.
And I think the platforms are starting to realize that there's a huge population of folks that it just will feel way too complicated. As easy as it is, it can still feel overwhelming and complicated to a segment of the population. So they're like, well, what do you usually use? What are you used to using? If to do your regular purchases, and they now have created bridges so that you don't have to get too far outside of your comfort zone to still be involved in the space, which is pretty remarkable. So, and I think we should be able to get there by the time we go to mint for Hanuman. Everything will be set up so people don't even necessarily need to buy crypto itself. And we'll have videos on all of these kinds of things, but I think the place
That's
to
really
start,
cool.
yeah. So I think just the place to start is just, if you're curious and you already see value, then have the courage to join us. Ask as many questions as you want. There's no such thing as dumb questions, but you're going to expose yourself to phenomenal artwork with an incredible community that you can have access to for the rest of your life.
And then you're preparing yourself for the future too, because this non-fungible tokens thing, I think, is really going to become the way that a lot of
It's not
musicians are
going anywhere.
working. Yeah, ways to participate in live events, or it's like think about it as okay, you're listening to this podcast right now. This is one leg of our community. It's like the podcast offerings. We're going to do real life events, things with a lot of artwork and a lot of things that we can give away, and it like buying an NFT is kind of just like buying a membership to this club that we've created. And so now you're in the club. And then also, like, if you want to leave the club, you can sell your purchase ticket to somebody else who wants to be in the club, and it probably went up in value because we're going to keep putting energy into this thing. So it's awesome. Like, so if you think about, like, you purchase a membership to something else, and maybe you're paying monthly to get all of this kind of content, and then when you leave, you didn't have anything. But in this case, if you keep supporting the project, now you have this wallet of artwork that has gone up in value, or it has value to it, and then you can trade it and sell it, and it's really a way to be able to support the things that you're into, and then also possibly be investing in at the same time. It's a beautiful thing, and I feel it's so futuristic. I think this age of energy that we live in, like my guru and the lineage of gurus talk about us being in the age of energy, Dwapara Yuga. Sri Yukteswar, fully awakened master, who he talked. This was like his message to the world, is that a lot of in India, and this is widely contested, but in the mainstream idea is that we're still in Kali Yuga. There was some scriptures that were written, and a lot of the teachers talk about us being in Kali Yuga. But Sri Yukteswar, he came to this period of time, obviously, to be Yogananda's guru. But the message and the thing that he had in his book was, he was writing the timeline, saying that Kali Yuga, which is like the material age, think back to the time of Christ, or medieval times, where we didn't have electronics. You couldn't talk to somebody about doing energy exercises and moving energy in the body, because, like, what is energy? Like, they don't know what electricity is, let alone energy, and the energy in the body. And think about Christ. He had 12 disciples, the greatest yogi to come to earth in how many years has 12 people interested in listening. We right now have more than 12 people caring about what we're doing. And so Sri Yukteswar says that in the year 1700 AD is when the Kali Yuga, the material age, ended, and the age of energy, Dwapara Yuga, started. And you can look at the inventions. We call them inventions, but these realizations that came to scientists at this time, like one that's easy to cite is the electron microscope was discovered, when now we can zoom in and realize that matter is only vibrating energy. That's huge. That's a huge revelation. And all of the inventions that come, Yogananda calls them time and space annihilators, like radio and television, and now the internet, and now what we're doing here with all of this. Like, I'm not in the same place as you, I'm far away from you, and people are listening at different times than we're recording it. So we're in the age of energy, guys. Like, so, I don't know how. I know, it's just, at least in my mind, this is the age of energy, and our money is turning into energy. It's no longer just has to be gold, or, you know, it was transitioning. Used to have to be gold, like a traded item, 1 for 1. Like, trade you this gold piece for something, and I get something else. And then it went to credit cards, which is digital money. And then it's, you know, now we're moving into a more sophisticated version of that with blockchain. And so it's just, it's nice. It really goes with this idea. And then in the age of energy, they say that it is about human interest. It's about personal interest. Personal interest times energy equals Dwapara Yuga. Personal interest. We're moving away from a world where whatever our dad and his dad and his dad, or his mom or their mom or her mom or whatever did previously doesn't determine like what we're going to be doing with our lives.
That's right.
You know, or just because you come from a poor family doesn't mean that that's going to be your fate in life. You can, this is obviously, it's so obvious. We look around, like, everybody is, you know, with all of the social media platforms and all of the video tools now that we have, and everybody's expressing their interests and their personalities and their fashion and their, it doesn't matter anymore too, like what the trends are. The trend is like, if you are confident and you own, you know, like you own your whatever you're wearing and your type of way that you speak and all that kind of, that's what's cool. Like, knowing who you are and what you're interested in and sharing that with others, that's what's cool right now. And it's, these tools and technologies are making it possible for all of us to do more and more of what we want to do with our lives. And I see this Web3 stuff as a big part of that.
I think I agree 100%, man. Like you said, like this right now, like staring at you and listening to you, and you know, you're in my ears, and yet we're on, you know, I'm very, very far north from of you, Toronto to Florida. You could ask anybody 20 years ago, and this would be like, that's Back to the Future stuff. That's, you know, Jamie. That's what's his name? Who was my boy from Back to the Future?
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, right. Like 30 years ago, like this stuff was all impossible, and now it's just reality. It's a given. It's taken for granted. This is a miracle. 30 years ago, I would have been like, that is impossible, and now it's my everyday life, and I take it for granted. I think we as human beings always kind of fall prey to that. We're experiencing something, and then it's like, oh, well, that'll never happen, and then it happens, and it's like, meh. You know? Like,
we're so used to evolution and change now.
It's so crazy how quickly we get used to it. Like, imagine if I said to you, you know, one day we might be able to go, you know, on a rocket ship and go for a walk on the moon, because technology will get there in our lifetime. In 20 years from now, there's going to be folks on Mars. Right now, you've been looking at each other like, yeah, this guy's probably a little bit crazy. I don't think he realized how hard that's going to be. But imagine that moment 20 years before the first commercial flight took place. 20 years before that, if you said, I think we're on the cusp of getting everybody into an airplane and then flying them from, you know, from Antarctica to, you know, I don't know, Australia, on a commercial flight, you would be like, I don't think this person really has any grasp on reality. That's almost impossible. We're 100 years away. And then all of a sudden it happens. And now it's like, hey, when do we leave to Australia? Like, it's just like that. And I feel like that's what's happening with cryptocurrency and Web3. It seems a lot of, you know, it seems far-fetched, and that lots of different limitations and variables at play, but there always is. And those things, human beings have this really incredible ability to work out the variables in such a way that it still allows for the technology to prosper. And
Mm-hmm.
something as simple as electricity or a vehicle, people are like, well, we're so used to candles and horses. Why would we ever move away from that? There's so many other risks associated with moving away from it. But we ended up moving away from it, and nobody even thinks about going back. And I think that's what's going to happen with crypto and Web3. We're not there yet, but we can see this evolution. So you either stand on the sidelines and wait until everybody else figures it out for you, or you can get involved now. You can understand the process, you can understand what's moving, and you can come along for the journey and be educated and informed so you can make the right decisions when it's the right time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's exciting time to be
Yeah.
alive.
Yeah.
And I also am a big advocate and believer that our imaginations create our reality. I love talking about this idea that you can explore, hypothetically, I guess, or science is now really with looking into say this idea of bubble universes all being right next to each other. This idea of multiverse reality, and each decision that we make, our perception of reality, is moving us through these bubble universes that everything is possible. Science is showing that science and religion are starting to merge. And these things that the rishis and the sages would talk about are now being talked about through scientific terminology. And so, and in India, all of these great stories and the rishis and sages have all been telling us that this world that you live in is not as solid as you think it is. It's not as fixed as you think it is. And just like what you were saying, with all of these things that seem to be completely impossible just years ago in our lifetime are now taken for granted, where you would have been a crazy person to say that.
Yeah.
Maybe you're in this reality now where you can fly in a plane from Australia to Antarctica because you believed that was possible. You didn't say, nah, that's not possible, and you moved into that reality. Who knows? They're all available. And also too, like this biblical idea of hell, like people afraid of going to hell, or what happens when you die and you go to hell. Like, you go, hell is a place in your mind. And it's the good news is that it's not permanent.
Right. Yeah.
So the thing to do in our lives is to cultivate a place like Luke was talking about in our previous podcast with Luke Brown, cultivating this unshakable place of inner peace. And then the world around you, he has beautiful language that he talks about it as this world around us begins to shift and change to accommodate our new state of consciousness, our new perception of reality. And that's why we do these spiritual practices, or people join some shamanic ceremonies, or work with plant medicines, because it elevates your consciousness to a new level. And then when that is elevated, and the goal is to see if you can keep it there. You can have these big experiences, come down, forget about it. There's always something there. You always, they say the worst thing that could happen in a psychedelic experience is that you return the same way that you left.
That would be hard.
Leaving out the physical issues, there could be things that you say, I don't know. But so, but mentally. So, but as we're elevating our consciousness, this fractal holographic universe shifts and changes to accommodate our new state of mind. So if you're around positive people, if you're around people who aren't always just rain clouds and doomsday and telling you why your ideas aren't going to work, and why the everybody in the world is terrible and you can't trust anybody, and we're, you know, coming from a place of fear, then man, it's going to be really difficult for you to see the world in the way that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And
So true.
so yeah, it really has. So like I was gonna I have some thoughts on some of the things that I was sharing with the group last night in our meditation. I think kind of goes hand in hand with this. And we were Luke and I were talking a little bit, and we were talking about this subject. And this is a book that I read from a lot here on the podcast, from Yogananda's words. This is one called How to Awaken Your True Potential. You can get it at Crystal Clarity Publishers. These books are such packed with wisdom. And it goes in line with, okay, how do we get there? What do we do about it? Okay, I hear what you're saying. I would like to expand my consciousness. I would like to start moving into a place where I can live without fear and be more comfortable in my life and trust the universe to give me what I need. But how do I get there? I feel like I need to be afraid. I feel like I need to worry. What happens if I don't worry about the future? Then what does that mean? Letting go. What does that mean? What are you talking about? I can't just let go. You're crazy. This is what that means. So Yogananda says, whatever you have made yourself in the past, that is what you are now. By the secret, invisible traces of your own past actions, you have been controlling the power of your present actions. Through the law of cause and effect that governs actions, you have ordered yourself to be punished or rewarded. You have probably suffered enough. It is time now for you to parole yourself from the prison of your own past undesirable habits. Since you are the judge, if you are ready to liberate yourself, no jail of suffering, poverty, or ignorance can hold you. Om.
That's beautiful.
So it gives us, I think, actionable ways to participate in our own peace.
Yeah.
And so it makes me think about, okay, the world that I'm living in now, the perceptions that I have now are a product of my actions, my words, the thoughts that I've entertained in the past are now giving me this reality that I live in now, which I understand for maybe a lot of people listening, the reality that I talk about maybe doesn't seem like doesn't seem like it could be reality, but for me it's reality, because of the past meditation practices, because of the plant medicine experiences, because of the reading the great scriptures and listening to all of the talks from my teachers, and the times that I pushed myself past my comfort zone and did things that were good for me, the times where I used discipline to overcome addictions to sense pleasures, those have informed this new reality. And so it just says, like, okay, the thing to do is now, this present moment is how you help the future. Worrying about the future is not going to help you, just so you know.
Right.
And just so I know, I'm talking to myself because I worry about the future all the time, but I catch myself and it's like, stop, stop it, Chris, you know, because it's not going to help. The thing that's going to help is to learn to cultivate a state of present moment awareness.
Yeah.
And if you have a sense of peace in this present moment awareness, and you're going to exist in a future where you have more peace. So all of the times where you make those good decisions, where you did something in the challenges on the Discord, you did a meditation, you went to the gym, you ate a healthy meal, you put on a a podcast that was uplifting rather than dragging you down. You said something nice to somebody when you could have said something mean to them. All of those decisions that you're making in the present moment are going to make your life better. Those are the building blocks for your future. So I think that's what he's kind of, at least that's what I got out of that passage.
I thought that's beautiful. I agree. I feel like I got what you just, the way that you beautifully articulated it. I love the part where it says, since you are the judge, you can determine whether or not, you've done your penance, and you don't have to put yourself in jail. Like, you can liberate yourself if you know that this is a rebirth, and you're genuinely trying to change and be the best version of yourself. Then as the judge, you can say, well, you've paid your penance, and now you're free to do that. I just think that's wonderful. You think it has so much you don't, in this world, you just don't have control over. It really is just how you think. That's really the only thing that you have true control over. So yeah, I think that's so wonderful. I don't want to sully it with any more thoughts. I feel like with my thoughts, at least, your thoughts are always so great. But I love
that's
piece.
it, man. Yeah,
Okay.
like I love when he says here, you have probably suffered enough.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
You're the judge, you're the jail, you're the prison guard.
You've probably suffered enough. How generous, right? And kind and compassionate. Probably suffered enough. Imagine giving that advice to your wife, or to your child, or to your best friend who's going through something tough and feeling like they maybe deserve it, or they can't see a way out of it. Just, you've probably suffered enough, and it's time. Something so gentle.
Yeah, it's time for you to parole yourself from the prison of your own past undesirable habits. We're victims of our just subconscious past habitual patterns, and it's not our faults. It's not don't even be upset with yourself. It couldn't have happened any other way. All of us, we develop these habitual patterns that are subconscious. And until you hear words like this, that maybe snap you out of, oh, whoa, wait, I've been just stuck in a loop of past unconscious habitual thought patterns.
Yeah.
And it comes to something that you were saying earlier, that we are all so much more similar than we think.
Yeah.
We have more in common than we don't have in common. And one thing that we have in common, not only humans, but all creatures on this planet, are seeking pleasure and trying to avoid discomfort and pain.
Yeah.
And all along, our whole journey, as think of yourself as a cockroach, even the smallest little worm, you can put it and you can poke it with a needle, and it wants to avoid that, and it wants to go get the sugar or whatever.
Yeah.
We're just that. Our whole lives, we just been going towards the sugar and trying to escape the pain. And then it's led us to develop these habitual thought patterns. And then we made it through millions and millions. I mean, at least this is my understanding of, I believe in reincarnation. It makes so much sense to me above anything else. And that throughout these millions and millions of lifetimes, say we were just that worm, we were all along, that's all we've been doing is moving our way up through the animal kingdom. And we've just been trying to avoid pain and seek after pleasure until we get into a human body that is available for higher states of consciousness.
Yeah.
So when we've made it this far into this game, don't discount just being a human, how valuable it is, how far that you've come. And if you're even having questions about the nature of reality, you are at a very high level in consciousness. And to get to a place where you're okay, maybe those habitual thought patterns are just now controlling my future, and now maybe I can step into the driver's seat.
Right.
And everything that I'm doing now is informing and giving me a better future. So that future that, like, say, like that Luke was talking about, he's like, you know, you wouldn't believe my life. It's an unbelievable dream world to a lot of people, and it's because he's listening to spirit. He's listening to his higher self when it's wanting to make corrections to him, even when those corrections are really hard. He's listening to it and saying, I want to be in harmony with you, Divine Mother, or whatever you call it. And then that leads you to being a Jedi, where you're comfortable in uncomfortable places, where you can be in a remote place in a small, you know, island in Thailand that he got stuck on, that he wasn't planning to be there. But now it's just like, oh, it's the most beautiful, wonderful experience, because I'm just, and I noticed when I was listening to his talk, it was coming up for me, because and you were asking him about it too, about letting go. Like, he was talking about letting go. And psychedelic experiences help us out with that, because either you got to let go, or if you dig your heels in and resist, then that's where the hell realms are. When you start to resist it, and then you're like, then you're in hell. But if you are letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, you're opening yourself up to more and more trust in the universe. Trusting in the universe to have your back, to only give you things that are beneficial for you. Even if they look dark, they are there for you. And in my meditation, you know, in meditations, that's what it is too. It's like letting go in your meditation, letting go of the conversation that you're having with your friend, letting go of worrying about your projects, letting go of worrying about the future, or mulling over past, or letting go. And that's what letting go means. Letting go, letting go, letting go, until you get to a place of just calm feeling. And then that calm feeling, if you can cultivate a sense of calm feeling throughout your life, then you can be guided through every moment in your life. And when you're guided through every moment in your life, then no matter what it looks like around you, or how treacherous the situation becomes, you're like a Jedi. Just things that are impossible for others are possible for you, because you're like, I know that I'm following spirit, and I trust the universe to protect me. So yeah, I was really getting a lot out of his talk, and I'm looking forward to making that more and more a part of my life.
Yeah, I agree. That was one of the most uplifting, eye-opening podcasts I think I've ever done. Luke is a phenom. So we're at the almost 90-minute mark. We said we were going to keep this one short for Paul.
Yeah, right. Okay, I guess it didn't happen. So
no,
yeah,
it's all good, Paul. But I feel like we got into the weeds on the NFT project, what it means to be involved with it, and you know, for those of our viewers who are nervous about it, to know that we're there for them, and you know, we're happy to be a guide when they do start to explore this, and I'm just excited for people to join this journey with us.
I know we're going a little bit. I was going to tell one last story. I think this puts the icing on this conversation in a practical way. This is something I just heard from one of my teachers at Ananda, the Sunday talk that she was giving. She was talking about a disciple of Yogananda, not a direct disciple, but a member of the Ananda community, older woman who was very long way on the path. And her name was Cheryl Mack. And then in 2009, she got a cancer diagnosis. And they say that those at the community said that she just handled it so beautifully when she got the diagnosis, and the way that she moved through the process of it was just with so much grace. And people were very inspired by her. And one of her friends was asking her, how did you do it? Just describe a little bit of how you did that. And she said, well, the mindset was that I didn't resist it, and I didn't accept it. But what I did was, all along, I just try to raise my consciousness. This is just a chance for me to continually keep my mind on raising my consciousness so I can raise it above my fears and worries and my addiction to thinking about the senses and pain and all of those kind of things. Just continually raise my consciousness. That's what she focused on. On the night before she got the cancer diagnosis, she was going into, get the results of the test. She's a disciple of Yogananda. She was praying to Master, we call Yogananda, he's a master of self-realization. So she was praying to Master, and she started praying in these different ways. She said, Master, I give you this cancer. And then in her mind, she's like, oh, no, that's not quite right. And then she thought again, and she said, Master, I give you my illness. And then she's like, oh, that doesn't quite feel right either. And she just quieted her mind and opened her heart. And then she heard the voice of Yogananda come to her. And the voice that came through said to her, give me your fear. And that's what she ended up doing. She gave, when she heard that voice come through, she wholeheartedly gave over her fear about the situation. And she said from that point on, she never had fear again. And she overcame the cancer. And lived for quite a while. This was back in 2009. She lived without cancer. It wasn't immediate, but she overcame the cancer, and then she just passed away about a year ago, recently. And then, so my teacher was saying that the key to this story is that it's about uplifting our consciousness, so that we have to uplift our consciousness to a higher level, so that we are in a place where we can receive what God has to give to us. If you're a lower level and you're in a fearful place, and you're worried about what's going to happen, and you're scared of the pain and all of that kind of stuff, you can't actually receive that message that wants to be gifted to you. And so, yeah, we can't, if we're busy with our senses, but when we rise above that and we open ourselves up to, give me your fear, and give over your fear. And what a blessing that cancer was for her, because she overcame fear in that lifetime. Wow. And gave it all to God. So that's, I think, a really cool practical.
Oh, I love that
story.
It's like we're turning to, like, children are fearless, right? You almost have to instill fear in them just so they know, not to touch the hot stove. Mm-hmm. Imagine going through your life and then being able to release fear. Mm-hmm. And the ultimate fear, right? Death, I think, is the ultimate fear, if not your own and your children's, is the ultimate fear. But to release fear, wow, mm-hmm. it's an incredible gift.
That's the best thing. Yeah. So we'll leave everybody with that one. Yeah. So nice to have you with us, joining us, and we'll be back in a week with more non-toxic positivity.
That's right. Hopefully we'll see you in our Discord or in Twitter or in IG.
Yeah. Blessings, everyone.